Hello everybody and welcome to my presentation on Formula One racing. Today we'll be taking a look at one of my favorite drivers, Lewis Hamilton. Also we'll be talking about the history of Ferrari F1, some F1 tracks, and some applications of Formula One racing. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Due to time constraints, I'm unable to tell you about Lewis Hamilton, although if you want to learn more about him, just ask me and I'll give a full description of him. The video that you're watching right now is his fastest lap on the Monaco Grand Prix. In F1, there are three types of circuits. There are road circuits, there are street circuits, and then there are race circuits. A road circuit is a mixture of a track and a public road. A street circuit is just a closed street in the city. An example of this would be Monaco Grand Prix, my favorite race. And now a race circuit is full on track, dedicated racetrack. So that would mean that you are on just a racetrack, nothing else, nothing more, dedicated to F1 cars. Now, here are some current F1 circuits that you might be aware of. There is the Australian Grand Prix, the Chinese Grand Prix, the Russian Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, the Grand Prix de Monaco, there's the Grand Prix de Canada in Montreal, there's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix, the Grand Prix d'Italien, there's the Singapore Grand Prix, the Malaysia Grand Prix, the Japanese Grand Prix, the America Grand Prix, there is the Mexico Grand Prix, the Brazil Grand Prix, and to end it all off, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Now, one of the most famous companies is Ferrari. And now I'm going to talk a little bit of history about Ferrari F1. On July 14th in 1951, they won their first Grand Prix. Each year, Ferrari made a new car from 1951 all the way up to the present day. You know how much money that would take to do that? That's just insane. In the 1960s, mid-engine cars were successful. In 1966, F1 doubled their engine to a 3-liter instead of a 1.5. In 1970, V12s were used, or W12s for the British people. Cars started to look like modern F1 cars to this day. Niki Lauda also started winning races at this time. All the way up to the 1980s, Ferrari started turbocharging their engines to a 1.5-liter powertrain turbo V6. In 1985, they used a V6 with 780 brake horsepower at 11,000 RPM with a supercharged that could have more than 1,000 horsepower. In 1988, Enzo Ferrari died, and the Pope was actually at his funeral. In the 1990s, they switched to different types of wings and cylinders to keep up with the regulations, and they held a tank of 140 instead of 220, so they just reduced their horsepower. And then beyond 1990s, they just won a whole bunch of races and kept on making new cars and new championships. The evolution of F1 also helped the evolution of cars. Designs of the F1 cars are made so that the car will go as fast as possible while using the least amount of fuel possible. This innovation of car design also translates into domestic car designs for fuel economy. With this in mind, I give you 4 other things that F1 created that translated over to everyday cars. So if you're the person who likes the speed, reverse into your house, or likes the way that cars look, this one's for you. The first one is dual clutch transmission. In a regular manual car, a person needs to press their foot fully on the clutch pedal to switch gears. With dual clutch, you only need to press the clutch halfway to switch gears. This is made so that the F1 cars won't coast as much during gear switches. This dual clutch technology eventually evolved into automatic transmission, which is used into daily cars. And then to have the least air resistance, you must have the most downforce. Then you need a good suspension. And this part is suspension. F1 played around with suspension until they found the perfect ratio at which a car can go its max speed while using the least amount of fuel. This idea has led to companies to tweak their own suspension to make cars more fuel efficient. F1 thought that steel was too heavy, not flexible, and not safe. They started playing around with different materials of what they would use for their cars, and one material came to mind: carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is light, strong, very safe, and crashes. For these reasons, F1 has made their cars almost completely out of carbon fiber. Modern day cars have carbon fiber so that they are lighter and more safer to travel in. Now the final one is air intakes. F1 needed a solution to cool down the engines during a race but also keep their car stable. This led to air intakes by the engines so that the cool air could come in but also make the car more aerodynamic. For this reason, regular cars and car companies do this in a form of a grill. Now, this is the end of my Formula One racing 20 time project, and I hope you guys liked it. My name's Avery, and why did I want to do this project? Well, it's because I have always had a passion for Formula One racing. Ever since I was a little kid, I was always watching fast cars, fast anything, and Formula One was always the top of my list of what I like to watch. It was always really inspiring for me to look at something and be like, man, I could get there one day. And that's what I thought. I was a kid, but obviously Formula One racing costs a lot of money, and like it's an insane amount of money to do Formula One racing as a kid. So I could never complete that dream because of financial needs, but I always thought it was a dream of mine. So materials and resources that I needed this video recording device, so the iPad. I needed some videos for my footage to play over. But that one was kind of hard, and this goes into my obstacles because my obstacles were that, well, one, my info that I took, it was kind of complicated, kind of complex. No one could really get what I'm just trying to say because I found a whole bunch of information on cars and designs and engines, and I thought that'd be kind of weird for you guys to learn because it wouldn't be that much enjoyable. I tried to make this presentation as much enjoyable as possible for you guys and the least awkward. Like, I know sometimes I'm awkward as a person, so I didn't really want to translate that awkwardness onto film. So when I was recording it, I realized that I couldn't really take YouTube videos, transfer them on an MP4, and get them to like my camera roll. So I had to literally record off of a TV using my PlayStation 4 as almost like a media player. And once I was doing that, then I had to make a script, and I found out that the script was too formal. I wanted to make it informal and more enjoyable, so that's why I'm doing everything almost freestyle. Like I'm doing half script, like I'm writing my information, I'm learning from my information, I'm speaking my information, but it's not a word by word type of deal. Like it's almost like in the moment, there it is type of feel. What else? Oh yeah, when I was doing my speeches, when I'm actually talking on the mic, I had to do so many retakes because as an actual speaker, I end up mixing up a whole bunch of words. I'm usually nervous and awkward when I speak in front of people. But other than that, that was all my troubles for this video. And I hope you enjoyed this video on F1 racing. I like to thank you for listening to me talk. And if you have any other questions, please come ask me. As always, this is Avery, and have a nice day.